disconnected lives. You know, I mean, obviously Middletown, incredibly isolated, disconnected from...
And this implicates something I said earlier, though, that there's this question of the alternative, right? I didn't vote for Trump. I am hopeful, like I think most Americans, that he'll be successful because his success is now the country's success. But I didn't vote for Hillary either. And so there's this issue where even for me, as problematic as I saw a lot of Trump's rhetoric and his ideas on how to fix some of these problems, I agreed with him that the problems were there. But it was just really hard for me to vote for Hillary Clinton. And that goes to show that in our oppositional two-party system, that unless you have somebody else to vote for, then people are going to accept a lot of bad stuff from their candidate right up to the point that they're not going to anymore, right? And so I heard that a lot from Trump voters, like, you know, how can you like what he said about this group of people, or how can you think that he's really going to solve our problems? And very often the response that I got was, I don't, but I'm not going to vote for Hillary.
Right. This notion of personal responsibility alongside collective responsibility, you know.
Well, you know, race definitely played a role in the 2016 election. I think that race will always play a role in our country. It's just sort of a constant fact of American life. And definitely some people who voted for Trump were racist, and they voted for him for racist reasons. I always resist the idea that the real thing driving most Trump voters was racial anxiety or racial animus, partially because I didn't see it, right? I mean, the thing that really motivated people to vote for Trump, first in the primary and then in the general election, was three words: jobs, jobs, jobs. Despite the fact that he's a millionaire, and somebody once said that, you know, Trump is a billionaire. And my worry with Trump, and one of the complaints that I raised during the campaign, is that political rhetoric actually really matters, right? The way that politicians talk about things actually manipulate the conversation. And so George W. Bush, right after September the 11th, reminded everyone that the gross majority, you know, 99.999% of our Muslim citizens were fantastic people and patriots and so forth, that the war on terror was not a war against Islam. And voters responded to that. Republicans and Democratic voters responded to that, right? But when we start having conversations, for example, about a Muslim ban, which thankfully President Trump retracted later on in the campaign, but as soon as he talked about a Muslim ban, all of a sudden a lot of voters actually supported the idea of a Muslim ban. I just don't think that's surprising because, again, people follow the rhetoric of their politicians. And so I did worry about that. I continue to worry about that.
I mean, obviously Middletown, incredibly isolated, disconnected from those of us here in Chicago, but even here